our feature table for round 5 of the second Cash Cup. They will be facing off against Tog, and they are ready to begin, and so are we. Now, Batsu on his, well, I'm going to say it, his iconic Darius at this point. This player should strike fear into the hearts of many opponent. Tog, no exception. However, this is against that Sett matchup. This is going to be a match you're going to see a lot more of, definitely in the upcoming Houston events.
For sure. I think, yeah, this is, for people that have been following the online scene, this is an absolute blockbuster matchup. You know, Batsu and Tog, they've been in a lot of the events. They've been topping well. Tog's got, I know he's got a good like Metafy page going, or Tactic page that I've been reading some guides on, so he certainly knows what he's talking about. And yeah, like we say, two of the biggest ones we've talked about. And this is such a good opening turn. This is one I had this unfortunately done against me today at my
blinding speed as well.
Yeah, when you come in with the seal straight into captain turn 1, you've got the 3 bodies on the board. A very quick turn from Tog as well, dropping the first mate. So at least he's got a body. But let's see what the Batsu could do here, because he can already score both battlefields. He knows Tog's fully tapped out, so that's nice and easy. And then let's see what he has to do. Will we see the core of the deck, which is that baited hook, come down?
Yeah, and that is when the fireworks really start going off. For now, just the absolute scorching tempo that Batsu is managing to produce on the field, whilst giving up very minimal openings for his opponent to really capitalize on. Yeah, you can easily capture a 1 or 2 might battlefield with the Tarfarian Warcamp, true. However, losing a single recruit, not the worst case scenario in this one, especially with backup in your base ready to go. Now, it is all about keeping these engines burning at a fiery rate. And look at the might just coming down in such blinding fashion. It is, you haven't drawn your second card in the match, and you're already facing 4 might battlefield and a 7 might battlefield.
Very true. This is one of the things where you really do start to question, how have we ended up in this spot and it's only turn 2? This is probably one of the strongest openings I've seen from a Darius deck in a little while. This is blinding speed. We are in such a powerful spot, and I really like what he's doing with the recruits on the Warcamp. I think Warcamp makes this deck infinitely stronger. I think when you look at decks in their best battlefields, most of them have a battlefield that they're preferable on. I don't think there is a better match for deck and battlefield than it is Darius and Warcamp. I think maybe Victor you could make a case for as well, but it's just so powerful. When you spawn these recruits and you just put them in their 2 might, it is incredible. It makes me worried for what we're going to see with Azir and his Sand Soldiers in Set 2, where they come in at 2 might and just play them on the Warcamp as well. We're going to be looking at 3 might recruits. I don't know what we're going to do at that point, but it's a really, really strong combo, and it just makes life awkward. I mean, Tog, he's only got 5 runes. He's just staring at this first mate in base, wondering where does he go from here.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at a more matchup general perspective, I think the Sett kind of struggles against a more go wide strategy where you have multiple medium-sized threats, where the Sett really excels at, I feel like, taking down the Kaiser, which has a medium amount of bodies on the field, right? Where do the answers from a Sett come from? When he has to contest the Tarfarian Warcamp, when he has to contest plenty of bodies, and the Showstoppers cannot deal with that amount of bodies on the field himself. And keep in mind that if he does not manage to stabilize quick enough to keep himself in a stone's throw's reach of the Darius, then a turn or 2 of recuperation can refill the tank of a Darius to a certain degree, where he can launch a second campaign onto those battlefields and force his way inside once again. Now, first mate, with some primal strength, will be trying to contest the monastery, and it will be successful in doing so. No answers coming through.
Yeah, good response for that. I think what you said is really interesting there about going wide on decks against Sett. I think, like, you're right. There's a lot of key removal to look at. So if you look at yellow, the key ones you think of are Cold a Week and Hidden Blade. Obviously both single target.
Definitely.
The other one we've got is the orange one, which is Challenge. Also single target. So again, we come back to the issue where we don't have a lot of stuff to stop going wide. However, one of the ways you can do that is like we just saw with something like the Primal, and you just have to physically go in and outmight them. That is the sort of, I'm just going to come in and be bigger than you. Obviously, the issue is when you lose your 7 might, you're then back to a 3 might unit, which is very vulnerable to something like a Kaiser. I think the key thing with this is, I noticed this earlier and I saw it now. The Darius can very quickly run out of cards. I think that's one of the big things. It doesn't have a lot of natural card generation. So that is where having this Kaiser, being able to conquer and draw a card, comes in really helpful. Because I played against Darius at my skirmish today. Both games, he was out of cards by turn 3. And if I stabilized, there wasn't a great deal they could do about that. We are going to see a good response here from the Sett. He'll bring out the Sett Legend. He'll spend the buff, immediately Showstopper, go in. He can then spend the buff to draw and then regain a buff with the Sett Legend ability. So we just a quick cycle there. Replace a card and keep the buff. So really powerful response there. And it's looking like we're starting to stabilize a bit from Tog's perspective.
We're starting to stabilize a bit. However, the tempo that this Darius is throwing down, I think the Sett is spread quite thin, and he has invested a healthy amount of runes. And when you see this much hurt coming down, and there's 2 free battlefields for the Darius to snatch up after he has been taking care of the Brawler himself, saved by Sett's Legend ability, regardless, it is still a menace. And he is already on that game-threatening 6 victory points, whilst being in control of both of the battlefields now. That is a bit of a pseudo-control. They're just a 1 might and a 2 miter. But we haven't even seen a baited hook come down yet.
Absolutely, I think there's a really, really good opener here, and this is a great play. We play the Matron. You never feel great playing a Matron for the full cost, but when you can set this up, and I think one of the key things we always look for is the finisher of Darius. You say he's at 6 points, and the biggest finisher, which in a go-wide deck, is that Grand Stratagem. When you have a board that looks like this, there is nothing that the Grand Stratagem can't get over. It is an incredibly powerful combo that will be able to deal with this. We see Tog reconquering the monastery, and we're seeing a quick scoop on game 1. That is all she wrote. Or other things like this. And we see, for example, here the Grove of the Godwiller, which is always an interesting one. And I think that's not a bad idea for Sett. I think these aggro decks like Darius, they're not really built around holding early. So I think if you are Sett, being able to hopefully get a 2-drop and take control of that battlefield and just build the hand size. I think both of these decks can struggle with draws. I think you do run a risk of running out of cards. So I think it's very helpful to have a battlefield like Grove of the Godwiller that can just keep that hand size healthy and give you as many options as possible going into the later turns.
But to put some contrast to that, I think it's also quite risky to play a Grove right now, because it really banks on the assumption that you can get into the position of holding on to that Grove. Meanwhile, we have seen plenty of times where it is a really make or break moment, where the Darius is able to prevent you from holding, so you're losing out on that one. And if you are not equipped to get a foothold in the game, then you have no basis to jump off from as a Sett, and you can find yourself rolling in the dust all too soon. However, it doesn't seem to be the case here, as we're already planting down a proper Fiora-backed Bastion into the Grove itself.
Yeah, I think from what I would assume, this is probably Tog's go-first battlefield. This is not a battlefield you want to throw out if you're on the draw, because you are at big risk of, like you say, then taking it and then you're completely out. But yeah,
single assault can be so deadly, and we're not seeing it here right now. They are going for the trade. Sorry for interrupting you.
No.
But the +3 on assault with no energy open, you really are giving it everything. And look at this. This is exactly what we were talking about. Getting rid of all the units, getting rid of everything on the field. And unless they are going to play accelerated themselves, they are once again looking down the barrel of having to play reactionary. And they're not even really missing out on cards this time around, the Darius.
Yes, that's a big turn of events there. You don't really respect the Vayne that early, but great play. I mean, this is a really cool card. I think Vayne's a lot of fun, very dynamic. You would typically, you don't know how often people use her ability to actually bounce her back to her hand. I feel like it's good. It's got a lot to do with her League of Legends lore, with the tumbles. I always quite like it as a card design. Exactly. It's paying homage, which is one of the most popular legends in League of Legends, so it's always good respect there. But we do see a quick bounce back here with the Showstopper, straight into the Sett Kingpin. which is a good play, and we retake the God Willow. So you see, just by having this God Willow here, we are going to war over this battlefield. No one wants to let anyone else draw a card.
And the big change in this one is the fact that there is, in fact, some energy to back up this push forward from Sett, right? It does mean that you'll think twice before you want to contest a 7 might Sett. Well, he'll be down a bit, right? Because he lost out on the first on the first low one. And I think the moment you leave such a gap where the Darius does still get to earn himself some points from holding, and remember, Darius was on the draw this game, right? And the moment he sees, all right, I cannot actually match the tempo thrown down to me, not with the single energy still up. Now I'm going to go down this baited hook route, which we've seen before can be absolutely monstrous. As in the blink of an eye, he can summon an entire army like you've never seen before.
And speaking of entire armies, the Ninja from Ionia has made an appearance on the board. Now, this is a really interesting card. You don't see this every day in these Darius decks, but the Shen has joined the party, which is a very cool card to see. Obviously, typically, you won't know what you think of. It's a great card at defending, not necessarily an attacker. Speaking of League of Legends lore, I think this is another amazing one. Like his ult, Stand United, the way he can come from the hand mid-battle. I think it's a really, really cool card design I'm personally a big fan of as well. But a really cool play. We see the Pit Rookie come down now, just reinforcing that set, keeping the Grove of the God Willow healthy. We see they drew a card that turned through it as well. And we're developing Qiyana, another super powerful unit in this matchup. That deflect can be so costly. It's not as detrimental into Darius, but into things like Kai'Sa, it is such a good card, just causing chaos for them to
definitely. And this turn is going to be this turn is going to be extremely pivotal, because we are at this pivoting point where the Sett has the pieces ready for a more entrenching type play. Right, he has an absolute chokehold on the Grove, which is feeding him cards over and over again, and we can see that he's setting up for a push onto the Zone Warrens as well. He has to, because currently Darius, if he does manage to keep his foothold, he is up in victory points right now, right? If he can manage a conquer, which with this many recruits, I think he'll be fine on that department. So there is a play necessary. And if this push gets deflected by the Darius, or he manages to baited hook himself into a proper answer to really keep hold of the Warrens, or to weaken the hold on the Grove, this Darius might run away with it all. However, if the Sett gets to build on top of the lead he has garnished for himself already, then I feel like you might be passing that point of no return, unless there are some great grand stratagems coming through for the Sett to really run away with it all.
I think the key question Batsu is probably going to be asking himself now is where does this Shen go? Because like I mentioned, Shen is a very, very good defensive unit, not the best attacker. So if you put him into Zorn, you're accepting that you're probably going to defend Zorn, but you are also then admitting defeat on Grove of the God Willow and saying there is no way I'm going to be able to get into that, which is not a great feeling, because we've talked about already how powerful the card draw will be for the Sett. So this is a bit of an awkward situation, because you're staying at 9 might, which is pretty difficult for the Darius to reach to. Obviously, if the Darius plays out himself, the Trifarian, they will go to 7, which can get close. The advantage is that Tog is fully tapped out this turn, but another key combat trick you've got to watch out for with Sett is the Call to Glory, where it can be paid with 0 mana, because you can just spend a buff, and we do have that buff sat nicely in the back on that Qiyana.
Oh, there we have it.
We are going to see the Falling Star both on Sett to take him down to effectively 1 health, as we like to call it.
Yeah, just a single might left, and then a single recruit could end the job. There is no more energy on this field of Sett. So quite the investment made, but it does unlock a lot of Legion shenanigans as well. The extra energy from Darius coming through now as well. That is the second spell of the turn, so that Darius will be ready to roar, facing off against just the 3 might. Well, he will be facing off against more, but a single.
So yeah, 9 might 3 health is the way. Yeah,
exactly.
It's still one of the confusing factors. I think the good thing about this is some people might think it's overkill, but one thing you've got to be very careful. If he'd gone in with the recruit to try and just snipe off the Sett, And they had got Call to Glory. That would obviously, the Sett would survive, but more importantly, the Sett after the combat would heal, which I think is one of the biggest factors. You really don't want to be letting these Setts heal. That is a mistake that I'm sure everyone has made at some point. And it does not feel great when you're in that position and you accidentally let a unit heal that you thought was about to die. I think now you feel good throwing the Sett into Grove the God Willow, try and build up that big defense. And you see he'll throwing the Recruit as well.
Yeah, so we still have Baited Hook.
An effective 7.
We still have Baited Hook ready to roar. Now, more hitting cards coming through. We have seen how scary they can be, especially that Hidden Blade can be the downfall of any Sett. Even with a buff to save his skin, it can just cut out the legs from underneath him, making sure he is not getting a foothold back into the game. And when Darius is threatening that 6th point, you gotta be on your toes.
For sure, I think this is an interesting situation. That hitting card does change things for the Sett, because it's not exactly an easy card to play around. It's not like you're playing a Yi or an Ari that has access to Defy, but we are still going to hold for 5 might. So unless you want to send both of these units in, which is not a great feeling. And then you've also got the issue that Darius is holding on the Zorn Warrens as well. So, and like we talked about last game, you really want to stop them getting to 6. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment for the Sett player. We will see he'll just throw the Kiana in as the sacrificial lamb, which will trade with the Sett, and trade with the Shen. And more importantly, the card will stay hidden, which I think is some very cool tech. A lot of players will instantly just see the hidden card and be like, oh, time to use it. And they might actually not hold it like they should, but I think that's a great decision to hold on to that. Makes things very interesting.
Yeah, and I think we can tell a lot from what is being discarded here. Another primal strength, seeing the bin, meaning that, I mean, they have to be looking for something splashy, especially with the Darius. I mean, only having a few more puffs of gasoline left in the tank, a single card in hand, a light foothold onto the Grove, which is turning out to be quite pivotal for themselves now as well. Showstopper making his way in. Is there a Hidden Blade to back it all up? No, but it will be the Phase Breaker. It will mean they're holding on for just a little bit.
Yeah.
However, where is the tempo? Because this is the card draw that this Darius is hunkering for, even on just 2 runes.
I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed, is the fact we're sat on 2 runes feels really bad. You know, a second Showstopper here potentially would be absolutely devastating. So we're going to see the Arena Bar, which is some cool tech. I think it's a really nice card. We've seen it gain popularity.
They're not done yet. This Kiana is still in there, right? The Phase Breaker is really a band-aid to a much larger problem, in that these larger units that Sett can produce onto the battlefield and can get them out in blistering tempo, with Showstoppers, with acceleration costs. It is not a perfect situation to be in. The Baited Hook not even used once. Now there is a tiny bit of a bailout coming through with an extra draw from the Grove, and now Baited Hook being able to maybe cascade into something that has a bit more prospect of prosperity for the future of Darius, but still dire straits with just 4 runes at their disposal, and they will be looking down the barrel of 6 energy ready to go on Sett, buffed up, Kiana buffed up, legend ability ready to go. There is a lot of powder left in the Sett keg.
You're absolutely right. I think this is going to be a very interesting turn here. I think the 4 runes is the real sort of killing blow here, because in theory, you could think pull back, try and build up a bit of a board this turn, and then set up for a grand stratagem to hopefully win now that we've hit the 6-point mark. But these recruits, when it's not Trofarian Warcamp, are really awkward, because if you Baited Hook them, you're only looking for 2 might, and there's not a lot in the deck that's going to help you. I think this is a great turn. We're building up. We've got a lot of units out here, and then if we do have the stratagem next turn, we're staring at 4 recruits, a Glory Seeker, and a Captain, which will be more than enough might to get over anything that the Sett is able to build up at this stage. So that will be the big swing, is whether they have that next turn to come in and potentially seal this series.
Now, walk me through this. We have seen the Baited Hook come out, but it has not been used a single time. And now we even have plenty of recruits on the battlefield. What am I missing here, Ollie? Because in my head, it seems so obvious to rid yourself of a recruit in exchange for maybe something more powerful.
I think the key issue there is it's just that. So if you basically hook a recruit, you can look for anything with 2 might. 2 is a very bad number in the deck. The key you want to be looking for are 3s and 4s, because 3 can get you access to things like Draven, another Vanguard captain. 4 unlocks things like Matrons and Kaisers. So I think that's probably the main reason is we haven't seen it. It's just he'll know there aren't that many good targets for it. So I think that's probably one of the logics there. We did see it 2 turns ago where he actually didn't have enough runes to do it with 1 extra, which is acceptable. But we are just seeing Tog here bolstering. But I think that's probably the main reason we haven't seen it, is purely just lack of good options. I think we could potentially see it on this Vanguard captain, but it's a bit of a gamble. You're sort of praying for things like a Matron, and with Tog on 6 points, it might be time to actually, mount an offense rather than try and set up in the back.
Yeah, and look at this. This set is fully tapped out. Everything onto the table. And that is a scary position to be in against a Darius that, will be looking at a reserve that is quite healthy, has taken that time to recuperate his strength a bit, and can launch this second skirmish and threaten the win if able. Now, that's a lot of might to chew through. I will be very honest with you. But it is not impossible. And if you know that it is an all or nothing scenario for you, you can really go all out knowing you have nothing to lose, because even if it does not end up being enough, you have always game 3 to settle the score once again. And here we go. Vayne coming out, guns blazing, ready to fight and ready to claw back this game in favor of Batsu.
Absolutely. We see the Vayne coming here. This is a potential play that could at least delay the game. Obviously, the Vayne will swing for 5 against the Qiyana. I think we've seen Batsu here just doing the maths in case there was a call to glory in hand to make sure that he'll still be able to get over this Qiyana. He's currently swinging for a total of 11 might into Qiyana's current 5, so they can trade with the Vayne. I think once you do a play like this, this is where we're most likely to see the hook used to try and flip the script from going aggressive and taking both battlefields to trying to set up a final hold to hopefully seal the game that way. So I think we'll see the Vayne die. The Qiyana will be saved, pulled back, and now there's still 9 might in base for Tog next turn. So you've got to be a little scared here if you're Darius. You've got to try and come up with a play to be able to take some control of this game. And I think this is where we'll see the hook come in on the captain to see if he can fish for something that will be able to help bolster Grove the Godwillow.
Yeah, and it will be all about that, because they will be tipping over to 7 points from holding Zon Warrens, and this really is a last stand. Now, this is a big hit. It doesn't get a lot better than a Spectral Matron hitting the field from the hook, bringing back the Vanguard captain. That is a lot of might coming through. But with just 9 already sitting, ready to go, ready to throw hands, you gotta worry for a Darius, who is still holding onto a last single card in hand.
Yeah, it's a good hit. I think the only thing you'd be looking for, which would be better, would be a potential Draven. Would make you feel a little bit better. But can he get over this? This is 15 might. This is the deciding turn. One way or the other, this game is ending. And let's see what we can see. We see the Cytherea come down. We see the first mate. The first mate will be used to ready the Sett and give Cytherea a buff. And then we're now staring at, we've got 17 might. This should be enough, unless there is that one card in Batsu's hand is some sort of trick. But this is a big swing from the Sett. And you see there's great movement there, great sequencing, didn't miss a beat throughout that either.
Yeah, and with these extra buffs coming through, they are looking to edge their way through the Darius, equaling out the score. And that is it. An 8th point for the Sett in a nail-biting series. I think it really goes to show how close these decks are in terms of power when they are performing optimally. When the Sett is allowed to find a foothold in the game, this is the ceiling of what it can bring. But at no point it felt like this Darius was down and out. I don't think there's many surprises coming through here for the Sett that loves to draw those extra cards, really needs as many cards in his hand as he can get to be efficient in those showdowns where he can really turn the tide with all those little sneaky trickses that you've come to expect from the boss himself. Now, Darius, Batsu, can you capture lightning in a bottle once again? How blinding can we start? No seals coming through this time, but just a 2-drop will get the job done.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a measured response. We haven't played 3 units on turn 1 this time, so Tog will be feeling better about that. Yeah, some interesting battlefields. I think Dreaming Tree is a good one for Sett. There's not a lot in Darius that can take advantage of it. They should run things like Cleave, for example, that would be able to utilize it. But other than that, it's going to be slightly limited, whereas with a Sett we talked about earlier, you've got cards like Challenge, you've got Call to Glory, you could even potentially run things like Primal Strength if you wanted to. And this is more like it. Now we're seeing some proper movement here from Batsu. We're going to get the seal, get the hook. We've got the two-piece combo, and now we're going to start searching for a replacement for this Glory Seeker.
Yeah, Ninja would be proud seeing all this movement out there. Now, first hook coming through, hitting another Vanguard captain.
Nice.
He'll taking that in all too gladly. Now, the seals keeping the runes in check just that little bit. It is a absolute fearsome start to be starting off with. Don't be too surprised as if this game comes to a rather quickly close with Arena's Greatest coming in, lowering that cap, just rather giving the point to both of our players. And Sett, what do you have to defuse the situation? Because we are looking to douse these early embers coming out of the hearth of Darius.
Very poetically said. I'm a big fan, but I think it's a great opener for Batsu. I think being able to Glory Seeker hook the Glory Seeker was good because it's the Daring Pyro who gets +1 on attack. It wouldn't have traded; it would have just simply beaten it. We do see the Sett come out in a very quick showstopper just to get this Sett Kingpin on a battlefield defending for 7. And interesting, we don't even send the Pyro in. We keep him at home. So we're not looking desperately to get the points on the other battlefield, but we do just want to set up this strong base of the Sett Kingpin.
Yeah, I think losing out on early bodies when you're facing off against a Darius for a single point might... I think there's a case to be made, but it really depends on the cards in hand. We're going to assume that Tog is a more than capable player, which I'm sure is a very hot statement. Am I right? But here it is very interesting, because what I do like is getting Sett out early. The way you can hold on to a battlefield really makes it a little easier to not have to walk blindly into a Hidden Blade. I think that might be a very pivotal moment. Now, of course, you can still pay it from hand, but every little bit of pressure you can put on the resources of a Darius will be paid out 3 times over, as we see how small the margins are and how little the energy pool can be for Darius and still find effective trades. Do not underestimate that. So finding your way in and at least keeping up with the tempo that is being put out will be pivotal.
For sure. I think one of the cool things we saw as an adjustment from Tog was swapping out the Chosen Champion. So we saw in game 1, he used the Sett Brawler, which is sort of the more widespread standard one, where you're a lot more aggressive. He can obviously buff himself up and you can showstopper him in. But I like the tech of changing to Sett Kingpin. This is not a card I've given a lot of respect to or I've played with a lot. But I think when you want to have a big body that can just be a station, you see him sitting in his throne, he is just going to sit there and get in the way. And I think this is what you want against a deck that goes wide. You want to just have lots of slightly bigger bodies that can stand there. And even it's good against Darius' removal. We touched already on things like Cull the Weak or Hidden Blade. The Sett doesn't really care that much about that because of the Sett Legend ability. Unless you're going to do it twice, it isn't really too affected by this. We do see another great hook. The classic combos come back again.
And it's an absolute bomber of a hit, bringing down so much might onto the table once again. It really feels like hitting the jackpot on in the lottery wheel, right? Especially in the early game where Draven is not necessarily the unit you are looking for on just 3 points. But man, the amount of bodies that this produces, the amount of pressure that you put onto the battlefield, and you are comfortable racing against this Sett because you are on the play, you are ahead in tempo, and it is up to the Sett to find an answer into this. And look at the strain that has been put onto the Sett economy. He is the one sitting on 3 runes.
Absolutely, I think this is good play here. This is building out the board. I think you touched on it really nicely there. The Draven is the great finisher, that one of the best closers in the game in terms of units that can just be on the board and be big bodies. But early game, this is the combo you want. This is the matron into captain. We know it well by now, and it's such a powerful combo. We actually see a second hook come down. Are we going to try it again? If we kill the captain again and get another matron, this would be a very spicy opener. We can see Batsu just making a decision. It is the captain that's going to go. So 3 mark pretty much unlocks every unit in the deck, so he can hit anything at this point. But let's see if we can get another juicy one.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for. He has found one
Oh,
easy.
there it is.
Another spiritual matron. Man, just keep spinning that wheel, as Heimer would say.
Exactly. It's, when you're running hot, you're running hot. This is what a turn. We have just produced nearly 15 might, I think, roughly 4 recruits, 2 matrons, and a captain. That's 15 might. We have just fired onto the battlefield out of nowhere, and having this double hook combo is disgusting. If you could hit every time, I think it's one of the key things. We are seeing the challenge come through, so that removes one of the matrons and then allows the Porridge to come in and conquer. So we do go up to 4 points. So we're still doing well on the point tempo. I think, like you said, we're low on the rune count. Only 4 runes total now for Tog, so not a lot of maneuverability when it comes to the resources that we have.
Yeah, and I think the big issue here is, is this enough to halt this massive advance coming through from the Darius? Yeah, we're winding down just a little bit. Yeah, we're creeping up to 4 points. However, you gotta keep in mind, what is your answer gonna be for all that might waiting their turn in Batsu's base? Now, I am fearful of the Sett and what it can do on even a limited amount of power, but with so many recruits ready to give their life to either, get these battlefields in order or have a favorable trade, and they'll come in after to threaten the hold if you don't answer it in time, forcing up more acceleration, more showstoppers, putting more and more pressure on the already few and scattered runes. And these baited hooks, they're not going to stop.
Absolutely, it's just going to keep coming. It is an engine that has left the station at this point with these hooks. We do see Tog making a big decision now whether to retreat or not. Like you say, we're on the even point tempo. We've hit the 4 points. That's everyone, that is, for those of you who aren't aware, where you really want to be scoring in even numbers, assuming you're playing to 8. If it's Aspen's time, you want to be scoring on the odd numbers to hit those 2, 4, 6, 8 break points. Bandit, you put it very nicely earlier when you were talking about the importance of getting to that 6-point threshold. And even if, Batsu does conquer both, he'll only go up to 5. So it's not the end of the world. Either way, you can take a turn, you can regroup and prepare for another onslaught. We are seeing the Pit Rookie come down just to develop some more buffs and make this board a little bit stronger from Tog's perspective.
Yeah, and keeping that energy up to save the Poro in case it does come under threat, it does come under fire. And if it is not enough like that, maybe even threatening to take down the Matron if we have any shenanigans up and ready to go. But now, it is up to the Darius to bring order to the field. And I think the one thing we can compliment Tog on in this match is the fact how he has maneuvered himself and managed his cards. Look at how many cards are still up and available to him. Now, with limited runes at your disposal, it is easier to play less cards and then be left with with extra cards to be played in the next turn. However, I think he has found himself a position from which he can send out these little expeditions, picking off some characters here and there. So it will be a position of strength that he is looking to fight from. However, there is just so much might from Batsu's side. and with another 2 baited hooks ready to replenish anything that falls to the ground or is discardable, seen as scraps by the Noxian Empire itself. I am fearful of what might be lurking in the shadows still. Will we see the initial investment coming through from Sett, as we do see the double tap up coming through? Doesn't want to risk another heal once again.
Yeah, I think that was yet another play to deal with the Call to Glory. We can see the Poro is just going on an absolute roundabout at this point, trying to figure out what they're doing. This will be Tog deciding if he wants to use the Legend ability to save it. We will deem the Poro as not worthy, and we'll let that one go. But again, it's just a nice play from Batsu. It's very easy if you're not familiar with playing against Sett. You see only one rune up, you fire in, then they Call to Glory by spending a buff instead of paying the mana, and you just get completely blown out by that mistake. So it is certainly a good thing to see. He's obviously very experienced against Sett, which is always nice. But one of the key things I wanted to touch on quickly is the Pit Rookie buffing the Poro was big, because it meant that the Vanguard captain couldn't kill the Poro and then be baited hooked. So you see we've had to now trade out the Poro, which is not a position we necessarily love to be in if we are Batsu. But we'll see, we bring out Darius here, and we are going to hook the Matron. So this is always a risky one, because everything in the deck is available, but let's see what we can hit. Will we find the third Matron, or will we see something big like a Draven? Now we're at the 4-point threshold. You feel pretty good about a Draven. That gets you, it will come in at 7 might. That is already a lot to deal with.
Yeah, that is a lot to deal with, and you're really not too concerned about holding on to these battlefields, right? You just aren't. You are very content keeping them conquered over and over and over again. And I'm not sure if we're just temporarily placing there or it will be played towards the arena. I think, have we come to a decision already? I think that is a commitment to the arena itself.
I think it's in the middle at the
All
moment.
right, it's on the edge.
He can still put it back. He can still put, he'll put it back. That's fine. But that is 3 Matrons.
That makes more sense.
That is 3 hooks into 3 Matrons to start the game. If we see a 4th, we may have to call a judge at this point. But it's still a very, very good opener. From here, we're seeing a lot of our powerful combos. You see, we've already got, I think, 6 recruits now on the board. If we do ever find that grand stratagem, we are swinging for 30 might, which is going to be pretty much insurmountable. So we're in a really good spot. We're going to take this captain out again. This captain has been up and down from the trash this game. And I think this will be the final time we do send it to the grave, as we have now used all 3 Spectral Matrons. We can see Batsu's just making a decision. It is now in the trash. So, again, we're looking for anything with 4 might. We've got things like Kai'Sa we can find. We've got things like Draven. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out here. And if we will choose to make an attack on the Dreaming Tree this round, or if we're just going to leave it and hold for a bigger push next time around.
And man, you thought it was hard to retire in Europe right now, man. These Noxian captains, man, they never get to retire. Duty, even in death, just the way it should be according to our Noxian representatives. Another Darius, bringing a massive hurt to the set. And I think the edge that we are getting with just the raw might that is on the table right now is getting slowly unsurmountable. There is just so much might ready to hurt, ready to commit and make sure there are no survivors. And with this change coming through, you are starting to threaten the game. And it doesn't matter how well you manage your hand. What combination of cards can even keep up with the raw numbers being put out on the field right now?
It's very, very difficult. This is some powerful swings we've got coming in here. We will see the Sett's going to trade. The Pit Rookie will go, I assume, will trade off with the Darius and 2 of the recruits, would be my guess. But yeah, that is rough. But again, and just another shout out, a good mass there, because we know that without the Daring Poro on the other battlefield, if he was going to spend a buffer, it would have to be on the Sett, which means the Sett loses might and then gains might. But very good mass there to keep hold of things. And this is starting to look like we might be at the turning point where Batsu is just running away with it. It is going to be so difficult to come back and take control here. You can see we can go up to 5. We can play the arena bar to have another 7. And then we'll challenge. Oh, this is good. Challenge the Darius. Get rid of the Darius. Make sure there's less threat next turn. So doing what we can do. We're even hiding a card. Going all the way down to 3 runes. So not afraid to take some swings here. We know it's go time. There is very little time to wait. We are going to see Batsu go up to 6 might. Sorry, 6 points. So he is in that golden zone. He can win next turn, or he could, if he wants to. So it'll be interesting if we see more of a setup turn, or if he tries to stage any sort of assault on this round.
I think it's going to be tricky to mount an assault, knowing that there's a hidden card sitting at the Dreaming Tree. I think, you don't necessarily have to play the explosive game as a Darius. Yeah, we love playing an explosive game as a Darius. We love rushing towards victory. However, you can play with time on your side. You have the cards at your disposal currently as the Darius, right? You have 5 cards. That is unimaginable wealth as a Darius player who often sits on just 2 or even 1 card and still manages to get advantages from that position. So let the runes work for you. Let them put in the energy again and again and again. Let those seals do the heavy lifting and win through an economy game, which is really a different side of the Darius deck that we don't get to enjoy as often as we get to see the more explosive side.
And I think if there's anyone I'd be more confident or most confident in piloting this situation, which is a sort of an unorthodox situation for Darius to be in, it would be Batsu. We know he's been here before. He's well versed in managing all situations with this deck. And like you say, he will be able to utilize all these cards. We'll just play the manufacturer. We'll cycle the manufacturer. And the key thing is, that's now our 4th hook. So we have seen pretty much the entire deck. We know what's coming. We know what we can, we should, I'm sure when you understand, when you memorize your deck, you'll know what you're expecting to see in these next couple of hooks, and you can play around that accordingly. We will see the first Draven come out. This Draven's going to be sitting on 9 might this turn. I think, are we playing it? Yeah, we're playing it to base to set up for an assault next turn. And the key will be, let's see if he chooses to hook anything else. The only real target we've got is the Matron. I think would be to try and find a second Draven potentially, which would be very powerful, but let's see if he chooses to go with it.
Yeah, we're going to see where the commitment ends and where the investments will land. It is up to the Darius to kind of see what he can get away with. He can just throw down the gauntlet in the face of the Sett and say, come and get me. I have the advantages here. I can entrench myself immensely, set up this uncapturable bastion in the arena. However, that is giving a lot of agency to a deck known for its tricks, known for its favorable trades, especially into more lopsided units that carry a lot of might with them.
Yes, I'm just checking the chat here. We seem to have had a slight issue potentially in the last hook with the... he hooked the Vanguard Captain for 3 and then played the Darius, which is a 5 might unit on the previous turn, I believe. So our chat have keenly picked up on that. So I don't know if we're looking into this now. It looks like we are searching the trash to figure this one out, because that would be a pretty big swing in how this game has played out from there.
Definitely,
so we
especially figuring that the Matron was available at that time, which is 4.
Yes, but we definitely took the Captain out, and then we did play.
I'm not contesting that.
Yeah,
but
I was just thinking through my head as well. Well, yeah. So while the judges figure this out, let's leave them to it. Yeah, the judges will know better than us in terms of resolving this issue. But let's just appreciate what a great series we've had. I think it's been really exciting. It's been very back and forth. These are definitely 2 of the more aggro decks. If aggro is your style, this is the place to be. We've seen big swings, very aggressive, quick decks. But it's cool that they're aggro in different styles. I think we see on the Darius side, obviously, how he likes to go wide and use lots of different units. I think you touched it really poetically with talking about the Victor a couple rounds ago when you said they just need to score a point. A 1 might unit scores a point the same as a 10 might unit. There's no difference. If the battlefield is empty, they can go in and nick you a point. And I think that's what the Darius deck's really good at. We saw it especially in game 1 where he went Vanguard Captain turn 1. Next turn, you're scoring both, so you're already on 2. Whereas, most decks in the game will only go up to 1. So it's a big swing in how that operates there. So yeah, so it's been a really good series. What have been your thoughts on it?
I think it really shows how tenacious Tog has been playing, right? How far he has stretched very limited amount of resources. We have not seen him above, I think, 6 or 7 runes for the entirety of this last game. And I am just kind of wondering how much more is needed for Batsu to take him out proper, right? As we are resolving the current board state right now. Because every time I think, no, Batsu has it in a vice right now. There's no escape anymore. And then a showstopper later or a primal rage later, and suddenly it seems quite doable again. And it really felt as if, despite appearances from Batsu's side, where he looked quite dominant from the start, I feel Sett has been keeping up quite well. And he has found these efficient trades to keep Batsu in check. And I think it really, it is not to take away from successful, aggressive players. But it feels easy to play out cards in the right order. But when you have to, when you get all the cards you need, you get all the seals, you get all the combos you want, it feels like the cards play themselves. But when you have to stretch those resources further, when you have to hold on to that ledge with just a finger and pull yourself up completely, and I feel that is exactly what Tog has been doing in this third game, where he is managing to keep himself alive way past what I thought was reasonable. And if he would be able to pull this third and all-deciding game his way and continue his run as this match's victor, that would be massive. Not only a notch in the belt, taking down one of the best players that fields the Darius, but in this fashion, where it's not like, oh yeah, you had a nice run out, lucky run out, GG, well played, better luck next time. No, but where really it is a win on tenacious perseverance and the skin of your teeth. That is where heroes are born.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think, as someone that's played mostly Dazzle or IMF and Ramp Yi, seeing Tog sat there on 3 runes is already giving me heart palpitations. I am nervous for him, looking at what you're going to figure out what to do. That is certainly not the style that I've become adapted to. I have played aggro decks in the past when I used to play things like Hearthstone and figure that out. But yes, it's certainly giving me a bit of anxiety seeing this situation. It looks like we are getting a resolution here. They seem to have just... He didn't take a target from the hook. I'm trying to figure out, let's see if we get any judges on it. We'll once we know, we will feed it back to you to find out what the judge's call was while we figure this out. Apologies for the delay, but as we know, these things can happen. But we are back in game now. The Draven has hit the board with the 9 might, and you can see Batsu is just deciding where to play it. He is going to be pulling everything back, probably setting up for that big final assault next turn to hopefully try and seal the series for himself.
Yeah, and this couldn't have come at a more crucial time in the entire match, right? We are on the very edge of a game-winning play. And as we resume play, we are looking at what looks like to be the final throes of this match. Its conclusion, its finale, and I am personally ready to see this go the entirety of the distance.
For sure. I think also another thing to mention really is the importance of this series on the tournament as a whole. We talked about how it was a marathon earlier, we were touching on it during the break, but both these players are 4-0. You're approaching the final 2 rounds of Swiss. This is the penultimate round. So if you can get to 5-0, you are feeling good. X1 should be enough to get you through to the next round. So you're feeling happy, but if you go to 4-1, you've then got that pressure going into the final round. It's a must-win situation, and it just puts more mental tax on you. We are going to see a good defense here from Tog. We're currently defending with 14 might plus a hidden card, and then let's see what Batsu has in the locker. We haven't seen it yet this series, but are we going to finally see the grand stratagem to come in and seal this once and for all?
It would be a very releasing card. It would be no doubt anymore. But that is a tough little search you have to go through. We haven't even gone through half of the deck yet, so finding that all-releasing card might be a little tricky. And committing your Draven at this point, when you know there could be a hidden blade lurking in the shadows, is a scary proposition to play into. And it is up to Darius to show us how to tread carefully without giving that opening to the Sett to heal back to full strength and squandering all of your resources. And it looks like we are throwing down the gauntlet. We are playing it safe. All hands on deck. All hands into the arena. We are preparing for our final stand. And if Sett does not have what it takes, then this will be how the series comes to an end.
Very true. We see the advantage here of going first, having the point tempo. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, he would have no choice but to try and contest the Dreaming Tree. Whereas in this scenario, he can just say, that's fine, you take Dreaming Tree, I'll just hold the other side and we'll win the game this way. I mean, this is going to be taking an almighty push for Tog to get over. We're currently staring at 10, 7, and 21, 23 might, plus the manufacturer, that's another 3, so 26 might now. We do have another hook we can go for as well. If we find a second Draven, that is probably all she wrote. I mean, we see the manufacturer getting hooked to leave as a 3 might window. And let's see what Batsu can find. This is such a pivotal hook. He has been getting
incredibly fortunate on some of these runs. He does it again!
This man hasn't missed a hook all series. We've had 6 Matrons, 2 Dravens. It is all coming out here. And we can see Tog has got the pen out and he's just writing it down for us. It looks like 33 total might is currently sat on Arena's greatest. And I can't personally see a way that this is going to be figured out here. Let's have a think and see if there's anything that Tog can do to try and pull something out of the hat here.
Yeah, it's incredibly canon for Draven to be taking up his throne at the arena itself. But it will be quite a mountain to climb. However, there's a lot of resources available. They will be murdering their own units just to get the extra draws going, just to keep themselves, to have more options at their disposal. What can they get done? What possible combination of cards is still out there, leaving even a tiny gap of hope? We see 1 or 2 plays coming through still. He is still searching for the answers. And however futile it looks, it is only done when it is done.
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of stuff happening here. We've gotten the Fiora up to 10. We're buffing it again. We're up to 11. She does, I believe, yeah, she gains ganking. So she can gank across. The question is, what is that going to do for us? Because unless we have three Fioras with 11 might, we're not going to do much. And there it is. That is the scoop. And Batsu takes the series. What an absolute barn burner that we just saw there. It had everything. It had aggression. It had huge swings, wide boards. What an incredible series. Congratulations to Batsu. He will move 5-0 in Swiss.